Hey, so good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. Today is July 30th, 2023. So just wanted to post another vlog for you guys. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that you are learning something from the videos that I posted, or getting some type of inspiration from them. Today, what I want to talk about is basically faith over fear. So as I mentioned in my intro, basically I'm sharing like the experiences and stuff that I've been through in life, and how God has basically been with me every step of the way. So I'm trying to set up my agenda for these vlogs in a particular way, in a strategic way, just based on how I feel, it should be shared. So again, today I want to share my thoughts on faith over fear. So faith has definitely been the foundation of my spiritual journey. I believe in God so much. There is definitely nobody can tell me anything about God. As far as trying to change my perspective that He doesn't exist, or whatever religious rules they're trying to implement into my walk with God. So basically, I think that my faith is one thing that definitely sets me apart. I'm a very sincere person as well. I truly care about people and their well-being. That is a major part of the relationship that I have built with God, and I believe that that's one of the foundations. If you're going through something similar, it should be one of the foundations that you have with your walk with God as well. um, he sees my heart, and he knows that my intentions are genuine. You can go to church 5 times a week. You can donate to all kind of foundations. For some, you can even try to get God, them to know who God is, right? But basically, if your heart is not pure and the intention is not sincere, um, God sees that, right? He will definitely see that, and that's not being considered a good person. I think you really do need to understand that you need to be a good person. Your heart has to be really good, in order for you to, for God to utilize you in the aspect that He wants, right? To fulfill His purpose for you on earth. So with that being said, basically, you don't want to fake it, right? Because God sees that. He knows if we're sincere or not. Everybody else in the world, you could bull crap all day to them, and they're gonna be um, sound sincere, and they're going to sound like they're really, they really care about you and things like that. But that's where you have to have discernment. You have to build that relationship with God to understand, like, hey, yeah, I think this person's a little shady, versus, just knowing real recognizes real. When you know that there's a real person out there and you're a genuine person as well, you're gonna connect with that person. And I've noticed that in my spiritual journey as well. I've connected with a few people that basically, I can tell that they were genuine people, and vice versa. They've definitely told me that, I feel you have a positive aura and you're just really a good person. And these are new people that I've met, through work, or what have you. So, it's a matter of having those good intentions. That's extremely important in faith. And you're not going to pull the wool over God's eyes. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even worth it to do that, because He knows what your intention is. He knows where your heart is. No matter what you do, no matter what works you are trying to prove to gain something with Him, or what have you, if it's not coming from a sincere place, God is gonna know that, and sincere people are gonna recognize that as well. um so my faith has definitely increased over the years, because my loyalty to God, definitely He knows that I don't play about Him. He knows that I'm definitely sincere, and I've been doing what I need to do for Him, and paying attention to those signs, right? So God gives me signs. I think I have posted something on a previous video for this as well. But God definitely shows me signs all the time. And I want to share the first time that I recognized, right? Because I know He's probably been showing me signs all my life. But when I started recognizing those signs, that's when it started impacting my life. When I chose to not ignore His signs anymore, and basically just look at things in a different perspective through a godly lens, if that makes sense. So one of the experiences that I want to share is the first time that I recognized, those signs, and that was about 15 years ago. So, for those of you that know me, I used to sell life insurance, health insurance, annuities, and things like that. So I had to get a 215, which is a Florida state license to sell insurance. So, with it being a state license, basically I had to take a state exam, right? And the state exam that I had to pass, it was an extremely hard test. I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely a hard test, but I studied for it. I wasn't the greatest in school, but I'm definitely intelligent, and I understand things very clearly. So basically, to make a long story short, I took the test 6 times and I failed it 6 times. And each time that I failed it, it was like by 1 or 2 points, and I was like, bro, like, what's going on here? Is this like really happening? I started feeling a little bit defeated, because you learn the test results right then and there, if you pass or fail. So I was in the test center. They told me I failed on that 6th time. I went in my car and I started crying because, again, I felt defeated. I felt like, dang, what's going on? I know that I can pass this. I know the information. And by me failing by 1 or 2 points, I was like, oh my God, it was driving me nuts. So on the ride home, I called my mom. Rest in peace, Mom. Look at me. But in any case, I was crying, telling her, what had happened. And she's like, it's okay, mija. Don't worry about it. Just pray, keep praying. And in my frustration, I basically blurted out, I already tried that and that's not working. You know what I'm saying? So she told me, well, pray again and have patience. So I took heed. You know what I'm saying? I am a very, very persistent person, determined person. So of course I didn't give up. I rescheduled the test, and the day before I had to take the test again for the 7th time, right? Here I am on 7 times trying to take this state exam that I've been failing by 1 or 2 points. The day before, I was flipping through the TV and I happened to come across a sermon on this lady that was talking, and I didn't know who the lady was. And what caught my attention was basically she said that she believes that God's favorite number is 7. So right there I looked and I'm like, okay. And by the way, it ended up being Joyce Meyer, who has been a significant teacher in my spiritual journey. She's exactly what I needed to hear when I first started being introduced into God and spirituality and things like that. So she was definitely an impactful person, and that was the intro to the connection that I kind of have with her, right? So in the sermon again, she's talking about having faith. You got to have faith. And then that's where she mentioned that she believes God's favorite number was 7. So, I listened to the rest of the sermon or whatever. It was actually almost over, if I remember correctly, from when I watched it. The next morning, I was taking a shower and I was thinking about the sermon. And right there, like, I caught chills. And that's another thing that I know, when God has his presence around me, I get extremely chills, goosebumps and stuff like that. That's one way that I know that God is around me, and I get chills often. So I know he protects me, and I know that he's there. But not to derail off of our topic, but in any case, as I'm taking a shower and I'm thinking of this sermon, bro, when I tell you the seventh time that I took that test was on August 7th, and I scheduled it for 7 a.m. Okay. And again, it was going to be my seventh time taking the test. So right there, I was kind of tripping. I'm like, wait a minute, is that a coincidence, or is that like God trying to, tell me something, right? And again, I'm new at all this. I don't know what's going on, right? So I'm in my head, I'm like, right? When I tell you, I went and took the test, and I passed that freaking test on the seventh time. Okay. I just cried tears of joy at this point, right? And I wish I could say that I passed it by 7 points, because that would have been like kind of off the chain, but I didn't. I passed it though by like I passed it by like 4 or 5 points, so I did kind of increase the point scale there. But in any case, that definitely was the day that I changed my perspective, and it really enhanced my experience with God. It really did. It was the turning point for my perspective with God, right? And what I learned at that time was that was the way that we establish a communication, right? Him showing me that I needed to maintain my faith, and knowing that his timing is always on time. Those were significant things that I learned in that one scenario. And though that learning that learning that I had was basically carried on through the rest of my life till today. That's the way that I think. That's the way that I communicate with God. That's the way that I built that relationship with him. That's the understanding that we have, right? He shows me things. If I feel some kind of way about it, I get goosebumps. He'll show me deja vu. He'll put people in my path that I know, are meant to be there. Every person in my life has been set for a purpose. And that's, again, all in the faith that I believe. And it's come to fruition, right? I realized that, the people that have come into my life on my spiritual journey, they're either there for a season, they're there for a reason. Either I'm there to help them, or they are there to help me, or both, right? So basically, the faith, again, is definitely something that you need, something that you need to establish with God, and you need to build that individual relationship with God. Okay, you need to establish that individual relationship with God. It's extremely important. Again, it's great to hear a good word. Like I said, Joyce Myers was very inspirational for me. She was a great influencer because she didn't sugarcoat things. I believe she's a person of integrity. She basically says what it is, and you take it or don't take it, right? And that's what I need. I don't like people to sugarcoat. I raised 3 sons. I'm not sugarcoating anything. I am a strong female. I'm gonna tell you what it is. You either like it or you don't. It is what it is, right? But again, ever since that day that I had that experience with God, I just made it a point to learn more about him. He caught my attention, and I did not want to make him not proud of me, right? So as I mentioned before, I knew about God because of my grandfather. He was actually very, very heavily involved in the church. So I knew what I was taught about God, right? And that's one thing I want to specify here, or kind of call out, is we are taught these things, right? This is passed on from generation to generation. The things that we are taught from a religious perspective, right? And that's why your individual relationship with God is extremely important, because you can't be like that. You cannot have a relationship with God based on what somebody else is saying, or based on, another person's experience. It doesn't work that way. Not based on what I've been through, okay, and what I've learned. But basically, you have to make sure that you experience God for yourself as an adult, right? Again, I know people that have grew up in church, you know what I'm saying? It don't matter. You know, when you become an adult, it's a different thing. You're maturing, right? You're growing. You should be maturing anyway. Some people stay stuck on stupid, but in any case, you should be maturing. You should be growing. Every day you have an opportunity to learn something, right? So there is a big difference with somebody who just grew up in church thinking that they know something versus now you're an adult, you've lived through experiences, you've been hurt, you've been tried, you've been this. Now you need some kind of, relationship with God. The stuff that you grew up with is definitely a great foundation. It should be a great foundation for that individual relationship that you're building with God, right? So I did what I knew, and I went to multiple churches, just trying to find something that caught my attention. There goes my mom again. My mom has been extremely, significant in my life and stuff like that. Obviously, especially since she passed away on September 7th, 2021, due to COVID. I hate COVID. But in any case, she still is, coming around. She's still showing up as her ladybugs, and her butterflies and stuff like that. So she's still up there doing her thing for us, you know what I'm saying? But my mom actually visited this one church, and she was like, Yvette, this is the church you gotta go to, the pastors are cool, this, that, the third, or whatever, right? So me and her went. It was around Easter time, so my mom and I went to that church on Easter Sunday. And that actually is the church that I mentioned on previous vlogs that I went to. I got baptized about 10 years ago and stuff like that. So, my mom actually introduced me to that church, and again, everything happens for a reason. My mom was there at that church. God knew I was looking for a church. God knows that my mom, is gonna tell me if she feels, hey, I think this is good, you should try it. So basically that's what I did. One thing that I do want to share, is that I have studied the Bible, right? However, I was never really an avid reader. It's not something that I like to do. I don't really like to read too much unless it's something that interests me, right? Or something that maybe I know about or something like that. But I just wanted to, because I was trying to learn about God, because I was trying to just increase my knowledge on spirituality and things like that. One of the things that I did, and I think this is a great idea to share if you're in a similar situation, is that I did a fast for 30 days, which was really, really great and eye-opening. So every day when I was at work, I would come out for lunch, and then I would go in my Bible, and for every chapter or every book that was in the Bible, I wrote down the scripture for my date of birth, which is 3:10. So for example, Genesis 3:10, I wrote that down, and I prayed on that. The next day I did whatever the next book is, and so on and so forth, all the way down to Revelations. So 3:10. And that was actually doing that helped me get in the word, obviously. And then I feel that God actually used it as a tool for communicating with me, just because the scriptures were actually telling me what I needed to hear at that time, right? So that's what I want you to understand from, reading a good word, listening to good sermons, take what resonates with you. Make sure that you're, being open mind and open heart, to what, you're reading, and pray before you do that, right? Pray before and after, to be honest, because sometimes when you're, listening to somebody that you never heard of, you really don't know what message what their intention, right? We just talked about intention, what their intentions are. So you always want to go back to God. Confirm that with God. Don't let nobody else tell you nothing. Confirm that with God. And how you confirm that with God is you pray, you meditate, you stay quiet. Learn how to stay quiet and stay in a peaceful place. That's what you need to do. Learn how to stay quiet and stay in a peaceful place. He's going to give you that intuition. He's going to give you those, those confirmations. However you establish that relationship with him, that's how he's going to give you those confirmations, okay? So I just wanted to share that. That's one way that my faith continued to build, was by fasting, and going in my word, and then reading, my birthday scriptures. And then eventually, I kind of started looking at books instead. Oh, I'll look at John, let me read what that says, or I'll look at, Peter, let me read what that says. Again, everything, before you do it, pray and ask God to give you guidance. Ask him to give you wisdom. Ask him to give you discernment. There's so many bad things out here. You don't want to know. You don't want to be around fake stuff, or evil stuff. So make sure you're asking for discernment. God, make sure that I'm making the right decisions. Ask him to remove anybody that's not supposed to be in your life, right? Ask him for those things. Tell him, give me wisdom. If it ain't for me, don't give it to me, right? Those are the things that you should be, kind of working through to build your faith. The faith that I have is so incredible, because I know that everything that has happened in our life is for a purpose, right? Again, I mentioned that sometimes it's to help us, sometimes it's to help that other person, and sometimes both. When you have faith in God, it doesn't mean that everything is gonna be like a bed of roses, but it will allow you to have peace and tranquility during a difficult time. And that really is what it is, because deep in your heart that God is working behind the scenes, right? And that difficult time is only temporary, but there's a reason for it, right? I want, in this journey that I have, and the last couple years, specifically, I've grown a lot, and I've met, quite a few people, and I realized the impact that I had, with them, right? And vice versa. I've learned some things from them, and they've learned some things from me. And I've learned that sometimes it's, I get a little lonely, I'll be honest, because, I know that I'm an empath, and I know that, I feel people, right? And I know that God uses me. And that's my point here, guys. God will use you to help somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. Sometimes it's not for our benefit, and it kind of sucks. I'm gonna say, that's why I was mentioning sometimes I'll be a little lonely and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I always got God, and I always stay positive. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, that if I help that person, then that person is gonna, move forward, hopefully, to fulfill the purpose that God has for them, right? And then in turn, that person can share their experience, and again, share love, so that people will know that, hey, all you gotta do is be good, believe in God, and be a good person. You know what I'm saying? So definitely important there, for you to understand that, everything happens for a reason. Fear is something that I had to get over, and that was with prayer and faith. The unknown is extremely scary, and I've been there. I've been to where I don't know what's happening, God. I really don't know what's going on, but hey, you got to learn how to let go and let God. And that's real. Let go, let God. I got it tatted on me, because I know that when you let go of a situation and you let God control it, instead of you trying to control a situation, it's going to come out exactly the way that it needed to come out. Tighten up. I'm trying to tell you. It just, again, scary situations, it just makes you understand that there is a purpose for that difficulty. God's timing will show you why you went through that, or what the purpose was. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful of that. Our mind is the battlefield, and there's a spiritual warfare going on in it. The devil's gonna try to mess with your head. He tried to mess with my head so much, try to get me to think negatively. And if you do think negatively, then what's gonna happen is gonna cause a ripple effect. That's how you react to something. Now you're gonna start, getting all rowdy when somebody does something to you. How you speak, you're gonna sound all rude to them. How you handle a difficult time, you're gonna get depressed or get angry and be spiteful and do something to somebody, hold grudges. All these things are horrible. They're not healthy for you to have in your normal life, let alone a spiritual walk, right? So just understanding that, you know, the devil will mess with your mind, and that's where everything happens. That's why you gotta stay faith filled. I talk to God all the time. Hallelujah, glory be to God. Everything, right? Even the little things, you know. I got a little car here in Chicago and stuff, and people who know me know I always had a system in my car and stuff like that. Right now, you know, I got my little car, but guess what God hooked me up with my little car, and they got like some speakers in it and stuff. So those are little things that God is blessing me with, you know. And even the smallest detail, I give him praise, because God is in every aspect of my life, right? From what I eat, to what I smoke, to sex, to relationships, to whatever it is. I'm going to put God first, because if I put God first, then I ain't got to worry about nothing. Yeah, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm human, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm going to talk to God. I'll be like, damn, my bad. You know, I know I felt some kind of way. Maybe I handled that situation wrong. But basically, that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we understand that. Another thing too, since I was just mentioning that accountability is important with faith as well. It's very important in our faith, because when you take accountability, you're going to avoid causing the same pain or hurt someone else has caused you, right? When I'm presented with a difficult situation, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to reflect now. What part did I play in that? Right? What could I have done different to handle that situation in a mature way, right? This allows me to understand the other person's point of view, right? You have to understand everybody is different in this world. So what you think doesn't mean that the next person is gonna think the same way. So you do have to be open-minded with folk, you know. It just helps me to recognize again that other person's point of view. And then it helps me to recognize the person's mistake as well, which they need to take accountability for, and should never, ever, ever make you feel like you are the one who is wrong. If they do that, this is a form of manipulation and immaturity. And trust me when I tell you, it's a big behind red flag that I personally ignored for many years in some of the relationships that I've been in, because I wanted to see the good in people. But I wasn't following my intuition, and that was the problem. When you don't follow your intuition, that's God talking to you, bro, and you're not gonna listen to it. Okay, learn from me. When you don't listen to your intuition, 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna go the right way. You know what I'm saying? God, when you have God inside you and you pray and you have faith in God, that intuition is telling you something. You know what I'm saying? It's always good, and let me clarify, it's always good to see the good in people, because you want to be a good person, and that's what good people do. But you don't allow you know, what you think supersede what God is trying to show you. All right, that's extremely important. That's a key bullet there for you. So letting go of toxic emotional attachments is one of the most difficult things that a person definitely has to do. But I feel that is one of the bravest. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the bravest things that you can do. Everybody deserves love that builds you up. And it shouldn't tear you down. If it's tearing you down, it's really not love. It's not unconditional love. And that's a thing, right? So what is meant to be will be. And those who sincerely love and support you, you won't have to explain anything to them, because they're already gonna know, right? Unconditional love, again, is a real thing, and God is love. And having faith in him will allow you to be proactive with love instead of reactive. All right? And that's a big deal, man. You want to be proactive in life. You don't want to be reactive. Think. You know what I'm saying? Put your mind to how, in a positive aspect. What can I do now? You know what I'm saying? To help a situation, to make sure that this situation, that the outcome is successful, right? You want to be proactive and not reactive. Oh crap, reactive is thinking, oh man, well, I shouldn't have done that, you know, or I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have texted that, or, you know, this, that, the third. That's being reactive. Think before you do something. Words are very powerful, and I always taught my kids, be careful what you say, because words are powerful. When you speak, speak positively. You don't speak negatively, because you're putting that out. You're putting that out on the earth. You're putting that out there in the atmosphere for you to do, for you to for it to happen, basically. So no, I'm not gonna speak negative. I'm gonna speak positive. I'm gonna do things as a good person with a sincere heart. If you take that the wrong way, and if you do something injustice with that, then guess what's gonna happen? Karma. Oh yeah, it's real, and it happens. What goes around comes around, right? And that's where I'm gonna make sure that I do what's right, because first of all, I believe in God. I am a good person, naturally. But third, you know what I'm saying? I don't want no bad stuff to come on me because I felt some kind of way and took, and treated somebody like crap. And God is not going to do that. Why would I, right? That's not the right thing to do. So, I did take a leap of faith. I moved back home to Chicago, as most of you are already know. I obeyed the direction that God gave me. As hard as it was, as much fear as I had, as many people told me, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Yes. You know why? Because I felt that God had a different plan for me. He had a different plan for me. He didn't want me in Orlando no more. When you finally awaken spiritually, and this is what it is, bro, I'm trying to tell you, you have to awaken spiritually. When you awaken spiritually, you're going to realize who you are, right? Who you really are. Not this fake ass person that you think, this immature person that was not, knowing what their purpose was in life. And granted, I appreciate that, and you should appreciate the person who you were, because it's going to lead you to who the person that you really truly are and who God made you to be. So you have to appreciate that. I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for who I was, right? So know that. I realized that I definitely made the right choice coming back home to Chicago, because I already see the impact that my love and light is having. And these are on random people. I was the other day talking with this lady, and she's telling me her whole life story, and she went through some dark stuff, man. And that was sad. Like, my tears came down for that lady. I was at McDonald's the other day talking to the homeless man, and he was telling me, and all he wanted was somebody to talk to, right? He's talking to himself. So I was like, huh? And then he repeated. We ended up talking about COVID, the government, all kind of stuff, right? He just needed some time, right? Be a good person, bro. That's all I'm saying. Like, you never know what somebody else is going through. So do not put somebody down, or don't be a negative person and yell at somebody or scream at somebody. You have no idea what that person is going through or what they've been through, right? So again, it wasn't easy for me to make the decision to get up and go, but the faith that I have over the fear I have is way stronger. And that's because God always shows out for me, and he protects me. And I don't cause pain to people who cause me pain. I'm not going to do that. It's not in me. It will never be in me. I'm not going to be like that. I will never allow myself to make someone else feel the pain that I felt just because I went through it. It doesn't mean that someone else needs to feel that pain. If anything, I want to share my experience on the pain that I had, so that if it helps you not to feel that pain, then I did what I needed to do, right? If I were to do to people what people have done to me, then I will be just like them. And I don't want to be like nobody else. I'm different, and I know it. I'm unique, and I know it, right? And I will take the traumas that I went through, and I'm going to flip them into a positive, better situation for my life. And that's what I would encourage you to do. We're all going to have trauma. We're all going to have issues in our life. We're all going to have, things that, man, knock us down, bro. Like, you have no idea how, like, I was here and came right down here. You know what I'm saying? But, boom, I needed that. I needed that. And why? I look at that as me obeying God, taking a leap of faith, knowing that there's some unknown, but at the end of the day, because I'm putting God first, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. And so will you. So, having the faith in God, knowing your intuition is extremely vital. Praying, bro, pray all day, every day. And again, praying doesn't necessarily have to be thee, thy, thou, ow, whatever. Just talk to God. That's all you gotta do. God, I'm feeling this kind of way. Like, what are we doing? Can you help me? Please show me something. And then sit, relax, be patient, and listen. Listen for him. Remain positive in all situations. Remain positive in all situations, and take accountability for your life. Take accountability for the things that you do, because somebody's looking at you. You're a role model to somebody, right? Whether it's your child, whether it's the homeless man, whether it's a co-worker, you never know how you can inspire somebody. Or on the flip side, if you're negative, you're going to end up impacting that person in a negative way. And again, that goes against what God is, and God is love. And you have to share love, and you have to be love, and you have to understand love, right? And that's what faith over fear is to me. You know what I'm saying? I love God with all my heart, and he's never done anything wrong to me, and never will. If anything, the lessons that I had to learn, I thank him for those. Even though they had me crying, they had me sad, they had me depressed, I thanked him for them, because I know at the end of the day that everything happens for a reason, and that he has me here to fulfill my purpose, and I'm gonna do it. So thank you for your time today. I hope you gained some knowledge on this one. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next week with a new video. Have a great Sunday, have a great week, and make it a great week. Make somebody smile. You never know what they're going through.